سلام میکنم به همه شما همراهان پرژن اواردز جوایز پارسی. امروز با یک میهمان عزیز برنامه هستیم، جناب آقای مایک نیکل. با ایشون همراه هستیم و ازشون میخوایم سوال بپرسیم در مورد پرژن اواردز، جوایز پارسی. Thank you so much, Mike, for accepting our invitation. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. If you could please tell us a little bit about yourself and your role in Edmonton.
I am a city councillor in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and I hate talking about myself, to tell you the truth. I'm more interested in talking about other people. But basically, the story goes, I'm a son of a German immigrant who came here in the 50s, and we've run a number of businesses since 1960 forward. And we've been very successful. So went to school here, did my master's here, started a bunch of businesses here. And at the end of the day, I'm supposed to be retired, but I'm not. And I'm into politics because my family always believed that if you do well, you should give back to the community. And so I ran for city council in 2013, and I'm still here. Now, that's about me in a nutshell.
That's great. It's a really good resume, I can say. And you said that you're supposed to be retired, but you're still here. So it's our honor, I can say.
Well, I'll tell you a little story. The quick story is this, is that I'm one of those people who, if I sit at home, the wife is not very happy. So I need to keep busy. And so that keeps her happy.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, Councillor. So the first question, in your opinion, what is the importance of culture and art?
Well, it's a very broad question. You can say very esoterically and so on, but I put it to a lot of people this way. What's the importance of just about all of it? And in politics, they teach you in university, they say politics is the distribution of scarce resources. But if you dig a little deeper beyond that, we're more than just material things. We're more than just, adding up a bank account or putting something in a bin or something like that. So I've always added that life is also about the pursuit of truth, beauty, and goodness. And these have to go hand in hand. And politics is not just about the idea of distributing scarce resources, but allowing people the opportunity to pursue those other three things, which are the fundamental truths that we all seek. Now, what the truth is, what beauty is, these are all things we debate, but that is what culture does. That is what art does. And that's why it serves that purpose. And so culture is really the expression of a people, let's just put it that way, or of an individual in the pursuit of those three things. And without them, obviously, society doesn't work. We don't work. We're more than just the material. And so in the end, will always be part of us since the dawn of time. Why would they even paint cave walls, for example, moving forward? Because they wanted to express something, they wanted to tell something, and so on. So without art, without culture, you have no society. What you have is something far, far worse. So that's kind of how I look at them. Now, not all people agree with me. I think it's something else, but that's how I've been able to really rationalize a lot of it through.
Yeah, that's a really good answer, I can say. Like looking at from this perspective, it just gives more more definition of art and culture. And in your opinion, what is your role as a politician in supporting this art and culture or artist?
And that is actually a very important and critical question for our time. I'm beginning to struggle greatly as a politician and as a business leader or person, as just a father and so on, trying to figure out how things are supposed to move forward with technology, with these ideas that society is dramatically changing. What I find very scary, though, is that we have places in the world where we have the historical context of our history being rewritten to suit a new narrative going forward. I'm a bit of an objective individual, that I say we have to look at the situation in their times. And to rewrite history, we have seen what has happened. There are other, I won't name the countries that I see that are putting us at great risk of us making the mistake of erasing history and erasing culture and erasing art. And so I, as a politician, I'll start very generally by saying, you know, we won the global lottery by living in Canada because of the freedoms we enjoy. And why does, and I find it's difficult to explain to some, you know, I had my son, he's about 20 years old, he's 17 years old, turning 18. And I said, do you really understand what society is all about? What's the point? And then I drew this comparison between the state of nature, right, running around and all this madness that happens in the forest or in the jungle versus what a civilized society is supposed to do. And so I'm here, number one, to protect those fundamental rights and freedoms: freedom of expression, freedom of association, freedom of religion, equality of opportunity. And then it is up to those people, those individuals who want to express their opinions, to have the place to do it. And there's so many places in this world now that is going backwards, not forwards. It's going backwards. I spent a lot of time in my business career in Asia, for example. Again, I'll leave certain countries out of it. And it's frightening how the revision and the rewriting of history and culture and the absolute destruction of that cultural and artistic heritage has happened, never to be brought back again. I'm very concerned about that. So that's number one, as the politician. But on the other side, as people come to this, comes to our country, to Canada, Edmonton, Alberta, you have those fundamental freedoms, but then it's the question is understanding that, you know, we have the Indigenous people here and we're a nation of immigrants. And as a nation of immigrants, we're here to provide you that opportunity and show you that opportunity exists. Because so often, particularly new immigrants, don't understand that, as opposed to some of the immigrants that have been here, like my father. I represent an area in the city called Mill Woods. There's not a more culturally diverse area in the city of Edmonton than Mill Woods, but we all make it work. We all make it work because we understand and respect each other. And so I hope that provides a bit of an answer to a very broad question.
Oh,
now,
yeah,
we can write, but there's another thing to add here. Politicians and governments are great at writing checks. That's the one thing they're great at. Well, you know what they're very bad at? They're very bad at picking winners and losers, and that's not our business. Our business is to allow you the possibility of what you want to do, right?
That's a good answer. I can say that's a really great answer, because like when each immigrant, especially, they have the opportunity, so you are ready to support them. So that's the answer. And so what is your suggestion, in your opinion, as a new immigrant, when they are coming to a new country, they bring their culture and art, and they want to have same opportunity like other citizen. So what is exactly like they need to do, or like what is your suggestion to them as a politician?
So government has three basic roles, and there's an author, his name is Kotkin, who wrote a book called Cities. And he talks about three things that governments are supposed to do, or cities are supposed to do. First of all, they have to provide a safe space. They have to provide safety for their community so people can go out and enjoy those freedoms that we talked about. The second thing they need to do is have a marketplace. They have to have freedom to exchange, not just on a commercial basis, but they have to have the freedom to exchange ideas, and that creates opportunities. And then last, he points out, if you don't have those first two preconditions, you cannot have what he calls sacred space or cultural space. And so we here in Edmonton, you know, we have a lot of programs, Heritage Days and so on. We support so many groups in the pursuit of supporting their cultural identity, all under the banner that it's very Canadian thing to do. This is not like the American approach, which is a melting pot. It's very different than the British approach, if you want to put it that way, which is a very stratified, class-orientated kind of system. And it's certainly not the German approach. But I speak from a Eurocentric point of view, as opposed to a Persian point of view. And it sometimes I really find it's very unfortunate that in our classes that we do not teach our kids enough about the Middle East and the historical nature. They kind of cover, the Greek city-states and so on, but they miss Persia. massively, massively. This has always been a powerhouse. This has always been a nation or a group of people that will not be ignored, and they will not be ignored going forward. And a lot of the immigrants that we get here is they need to first have those first two things, and then it's up to the government to create those opportunities for them to create. And they will create if they're passionate enough about it, if they care enough about it. What's one? I'll go back to you and say one thing that's very bad for Germans is that when they go to another country, they adopt the language and they drop German. My dad came over here after the war, and he says, "We're in Canada, we speak English now." I think that's very different than what it used to be. Now we have all kinds of school programs that promote different languages, support different cultures. I know in Mill Woods, we have quite a strong East Indian programs throughout a number of our public schools. So this is all a realization, identification. We're stronger with our differences. And if we were all the same, then what would be the point? So for new immigrants, we have programs, we have supports, but those first two preconditions are also equally matter.
That's a good point. Especially you talked about German. I used to live in Germany for almost 3 years when I was a kid. And it was so crucial to speak German, to speak Deutsch over there. And when I came back to Iran, because English was my second language, so I forgot to speak German as well. Yeah. That was one story from me. My next question is, do you know that there is a lot of immigrants that they are coming as an academic and they're going to university and they want to just continue their education? What is your suggestion to them? Because they want to join to the academic part. They want to just grow in the society, but they are immigrants. So what is you as a politician, you can provide for them or support them and suggest them?
Well, let's start with the micro and then we can move to the macro. One of the first things we have a great struggle with is the recognition of degrees and moving. Let's take a doctor, for example. They come from another country, they come here, and then there's all sorts of barriers with regards to them actually practicing the profession that they legitimately are able to do, which is, I find, very frustrating. And that's not just doctors, that's a whole bunch of academic and professional trades. Engineers, for example, are also another group that have difficulty. In terms of supporting academic endeavors and so on, we have the universities and so on. But it is a bit of a struggle with our academic institution, especially advanced academic institutions, and we just got to keep pushing on that to keep those opportunities, because what these academics bring over is not just learning, but an open-mindedness that is not reflected in other sectors in our economy. And so the first thing that I think we have to start from the very basics, that we have a system here in Canada that is biased against legitimate professionals, particularly academics, in recognizing their degrees and moving them into our system. Now we can go through. We can also talk about student scholarships and so on, but that's not the city's. That's not what the city does. That has to be a provincial and federal question. But I always look at it from academia is not just a nice exercise in dialectics or discussions. They are something. They have to contribute something because somebody's got to pay the bill, and that's what our immigrants do bring. Our immigrants bring a willingness to work because they're coming here for a reason, and they're as numerous as they came here. My father came here because there was nothing left in Europe, right? It was literally burnt to the ground. And he said, "Time, yep, that's it. We're out of here." And so, for whatever reasons they come here for opportunity, we just have to ensure the equality of opportunity exists.
Yeah, that's exactly what they are coming. There is a reason behind everybody who's coming here. So what do you think, what steps should an immigrant, when they are coming to there's a step-by-step, if they want to grow in the society, in scientists, in academic, there is some steps. So what are those steps that they need to pass? And then they can just contribute to the society and be like other citizens.
Well, the first step has always been a question of integration, right? So it is a question of learning the language, having a place to live, and so on. And there are government supports within that. And then moving forward, it is from an academic point of view. And you see, it's very difficult to answer that question because depending on where what you do, and what your expertise is, I would argue there are doctors and engineers that can be put to work right away, as opposed to PhDs in some other institutions that would be very difficult, right? Yes. There is a practicality and an economy to our thinking here, particularly when it comes to some of our questions of immigration. Now, we're not talking about political refugees. That is a different question entirely, and that's not what we're talking about here today. I hope it's not. Because I know so many people from your community are here for economic reasons. They bring something to the table. They are, and so on. And so that, in terms of integrating we have cultural groups, we have schools need to have proper integrations. We have those support programs there, because it's not just the parents, it's the kids that matter, right? Generally, why they're moving here is not just for them; it's for their kids. Right, and that's what's really drives immigrants, right? A better life for their children. There's a small percentage that are here just for themselves, but that's not the case, generally speaking. So, getting the kids there, getting them to school, supporting them with a world-class education, and then moving them through the system and it's a bit of a long-term game, but that's how it has to be played. And then in terms of supporting very cultural groups, that's how and support groups, so that is also what's necessary, right? Some communities are better at organizing than others, let's face it. But again, here in Edmonton, we try to be very supportive of all these cultural endeavors.
That's great. So in your opinion as a politician, what do you think about these kind of like awards in scientists, in art, like something like Persian awards, that we are just giving awards for art and culture both? What is your opinion about this kind of awards? So does it help to empower the culture?
Well, it's unfair to compare Persians to just about everybody else. I think I said that earlier. It's really quite unfair because you're in a very unique situation, and your community is a very highly educated community. It just is, right? I know this. And so absolutely you have to do this. Not only does it bring you together and you can commiserate or share your stories, right? But I'm a firm believer you have to recognize an award, reward success. Otherwise, you can't be like us Germans toiling in the ditch, because that's what we do as a culture, right? We just grind it. You know what I'm talking about. We just grind it. That's German. No, the world doesn't work like that. I think the world's, it's anyway, we'll just leave it at that. And so it's absolutely, you have to do it. Otherwise, it's not, what? I'm the kind of guy, I'm weird in the sense that I don't do this for ribbons. I don't do this for bows. I do this for people. And it's nice when people come back and say, hey, you did something special. So it's really important for your support.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for just acknowledge that. Thank you. There's a lot of Persian that, they are coming and they are high educated. So these awards help them to recognize.
Very, very high educated, very sophisticated, very sophisticated.
Yeah. So what do you think about us as people who are working voluntarily for these Persian awards, for these kind of activities? Can we be the great feedback from our community to show the new country, I can say, like Canada or around the world? What is your opinion about us, as Persian awards?
I'll agree with you. I wish you would be more public. I wish you would step up more. The Persian community is comprised of leaders, and they're not. But the question is that why hasn't we heard more from you? We need more from you. I'm challenging you now back, right? Okay. And it's I'd like, you know, I use this phrase a lot. You know, the world can use a little more Canada, right? And Canada can use more Persians, to be quite frank. And so we can't sit back, we can't hold back, because there's other parts of the world that are holding people back. We have a material obligation to show people there is a way that we can work together, that we can live together, and we're not trying to shoot each other in the process. I know that's pretty harsh to say that, but we've been in parts of the world, well, that's just happening all the time. And so we have something so precious here, and the Persian community, because they're highly educated, highly sophisticated, we need a little more Persia in Edmonton, to tell you the truth.
Sure. I will rephrase this, that you said word needs more Canada, and now you're telling that word needs more Persia. Canada needs more Persia. Yeah.
Exactly.
That was really good.
You know what people don't understand, again, I'm a bit of a history guy, so I go from Cyrus the Great all the way down. I teach my kids about the Babylonian and Persian history, because it's just so important how it shaped the world, right, as we understand it. And our Western tradition virtually ignores all of it outside of this Euro-Greek centric perspective. And and I'll go back and I'll say another piece here. We tend to ignore the Ottomans. We tend to ignore the contributions between science and medicine from the Middle East, and those Middle Ages, and so on, and the great advancements that they did under well, you know what I'm talking about. It's wrong. We need to understand this. And I also go back over to I used to do a lot of work in Asia, right? And so we miss this. Our Western centric view of the world has just we got to open our eyes.
Yeah. Thank you so much. My next question is, as you know, I'm sure you know, one of the best ways to empower on culture and art is just connecting communities together, like Persian community with other communities. As a politician, what do you think that would be the best way to have more conjunction and just more communities working together and just empower their art and culture?
So that is, now I'll go back to my training, which is I come from manufacturing, right? So I look at things in the question of systems. And so the first thing is establishing a platform where you exchange information, and you have these people bumping into each other. I don't believe, again, I'll say this again, government doesn't create culture, government doesn't create wealth, you folks do, right? So government needs to be an enabler and not get in the way. That's number one. So number two is creating these platforms. We can celebrate culture, but then I also measure what do we get out at the end of it. And this is something I'm challenging a lot of politicians on some of my other stuff that I'm doing right now, is about what do the cultural outputs need to be, and how does it actually move us forward? So create those platforms. We got heritage days. We've got a bunch of things, and with the internet, there is no excuse to not have these community exchanges. And this is not just about culture. This is about a lot of our solutions. But how do you do that? How do you put people together? That is why government could write a check for it, but it has to come from the community how they want it done. Because generally speaking, government's throwing money at a wall and hoping it sticks. I'm not that guy. So,
that was a really good expression. Yeah.
Well, it's the truth though, right? We'll just throw money at it, and no, that's not. We're out of money. It's just about it. So if there's an efficiency that comes from the community that needs to be put forward, particularly from the cultural side. So you want to talk about celebrating your culture. So how is this moving forward? How is this integrating your community? How is this better? How is this educating people as to the historical context and the contributions therein? Where are you going next, right? And it can range everything from academics to music to art to everything. These are ways, I look at them as platforms, right? These are platforms for exchange. So that has to come from you folks. That has to be put together. The government can support that, but only you know how to drive that forward.
Yeah.
And that's,
yeah,
I think
sure.
that's the reality of it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's just you gave us a plan too. My next question is, in your opinion, as a politician, what is the role of local media, like to support and to just introduce more of these cultural and art in different communities, especially Persian community?
I think it's a double-edged sword. The local media is fine. You know, we support community papers and so on like that. But if you're talking about mainstream media, there is a problem. Those institutions are under siege. You just have to look at your news, your newspapers, and so on to understand that that model of information exchange over reporting is dying. And so the question now becomes, how do you build new platforms? That is what Facebook is for. Stay off of Twitter because it's full of trolls. I'll just put it that way. But those, you have to take advantage of the new platforms, right?
Mhm.
Simply put, you have to create that community. You have to create people and then put it out there. And it is hard to start with, but once you have that ball rolling, you'd be shocked at how quickly and how many great ideas come out of that. And that's how the best way to organize if you want to actually get some output. So you have to, local media is fine, but there's the community paper, there's the mainstream media, and then you have this, you have social media and how that's moving forward. I'm just a firm believer. I'll give you an example in politics. I can't remember the last time I've done a media interview, right? It's all through social media. And then they just take my quotes and off they go. It's just the way it is now. And so that has to be the model going forward. And that's going to change as well, because Facebook and Twitter, and I call them oligopolies, they're tech oligopolies. They're going to break up too. There will be other stuff, and you got to be there to take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm. That was really good suggestion. Thank you. My last question is, what should be done to encourage productions companies to produce more kind of culture and artist products? What should be done?
Well, I'd love to give you an answer to that one, but on my the other thing that I am doing, I have some very specific ideas that I'll be rolling out, in about 60 days. So you're gonna have to wait and hear about that. We have a whole piece of, we have a lot to roll out for you to encourage exactly what you're talking about. And, so
In
I'm gonna have
60
to keep that
days?
in reserve.
So can I follow up with you in 60 days to see that what are those ideas? Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're deciding whether we're going to roll it out in June or August, and it is out of the box, but I think it's the way to look at a new way to look at our cultural and artistic endeavors, not just the institutions. I'm not interested in just building boxes and putting things in there. It's got to be about something else.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm waiting. I'm looking forward to that. So I will follow up with you. At the end, again, I really appreciate your time and thank you for accepting our invitation. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us as a suggestion or?
If you have any issues, you can reach me. I hope my answers were fulsome. I hope they provided you some answers. I tend to be a little more blunt than some in my profession, but I think I'll just want to say I have a profound respect for the Persian community. They do a lot, but they're not very vocal. They're not, and I want to see more of it, not less of it. I really do.
Sure. Yeah, I told you that I'm going to rephrase that and we're going to just post it in every aspect of our platform to say that Mr. Nicola said that just have more Persian in Canada. He wants to see more Persian in Canada.
I want to see more Persian. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. It was really honored to talking to you, and I will follow up with you about my last question.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you so much for everyone who is watching me. This is Mojdeh again with Mr. Mike Nicol from Edmonton, from Persian Awards. خیلی ممنون از اینکه با ما همراه بودین. تا دیدار دیگه لبخند از رو لباتون دور نشه. خدا نگهدار.